the people with Maven the other
Welcome
day,
to
and
Latter Daily Just a
about
second, Shelley.
women's spirituality, reclaiming spirituality and our femininity. You guys are awesome. Thanks.
Yes,
Even
thanks.
the mansplaining was pretty damn good, I must say.
That's right. Welcome to Latter Daily Digest. We honor creators. We're in virtually Tim's living room. We're going to have even more people. Trevor's going to come and talk about God a little bit. And so today's show is just like if you really could ask God some questions about some things, and we'll try to keep it, civil, we'll say, thoughtful, and then the more drunk Randy gets, the more he might open up.
No, I'm already there, buddy.
There you go. And so we got a lot of people, full house going, but Rebecca Biblioteca is finishing up her show, and that'll be over soon. And we thought we'd start it off by letting either Tim or Megan chat a little bit about it, if you want.
Megan.
Well, I was going to say Tim go first.
No, you go first. You know what the time crunch.
I have so many questions for God, if there is a God. But I think the majority of my questions stem from the idea that I don't understand what has happened in the Bible. And that's not because I haven't read it. It's not because I haven't studied it. It's because I'm confused about the idea that I was taught that God was an all-powerful, all-knowing, all-loving, omniscient, omnipresent, unconditionally loving being. And then I read the Bible. And I was very, very confused. But I suspended my confusion because I'm a 7th generation Mormon, and I was told by my Mormon family that we just accept the Bible as far as it's translated correctly. We know it has some errors in it. And so I suspended all of my disbelief in favor of believing my, 7 generations of ancestors. And when I was deconstructing my religion a couple of years ago, I finally started to examine all of those things again. One of the first things that I did when I had a sort of spiritual and emotional awakening long before I left the church, I realized I had 4 young children at home, and I realized that I was parenting my children the same way that I was parented. And I realized that that's not what I wanted to do, because I didn't want my children to be afraid of me. I didn't love my parents. I was afraid of them. And I didn't want that for my kids. And so in the midst of having a very obstinate 7-year-old who did not respond to any sort of discipline whatsoever, I had to try and, reconfigure that. And so I decided in my faith, in my Mormon faith, I decided that God was a perfect parent and that he was the only perfect parent. And so I decided to start a blog where I was going to explore through writing all of the ways that God was a perfect parent and all of the ways that none of us are. And I was like, I'm going to start with the Bible because that's the very beginning of the recorded history. And I started to read the Bible through the lens of God being a parent, and how does he deal with his children when they make mistakes and when they, do things that are dumb, and, how does he respond to all of this? And Tim is laughing because, you don't have to go very far in the Bible to realize that God is just about the worst parent you could possibly be. And so all of my questions for God stem around that. If we are really to believe that God is benevolent, if he is unconditionally loving, if he's omnipresent, if he's omniscient, if he has all power, I guess if I have to distill it down to one question, if God is all powerful and he can do anything that he wants to do, meaning he can accomplish his purposes by any means possible, why does he still allow for the suffering of children and innocent people? That's my number one question. And it's really, to me, the only question that matters, because, I've heard all of these apologetic answers of, well, free will matters. And, we have to prove ourselves to God. And if we don't have free will, then we can't really prove if we're loyal to God. And to me, that doesn't really matter, because if he really was all powerful, he could devise a system of proving loyalty by which there was no suffering for children and innocent people. That's all.
That's all.
Randy, you're muted.
That goes right along with my first question. Well, the first thing I'd ask God is what you just said. But I'll wait for my turn.
That's right.
Do you have any
Randy,
other
when you were
questions?
talking, you sounded a lot like God when you didn't have your mic on.
But you could feel my presence, right?
Do you mean silence?
Yeah, silence.
It's like we know he's there, but we can't hear anything.
Behold.
Behold.
Do you have any
So-
other questions, Megan, for God?
I really think that's my only one, just because, if you can't devise a system of determining people's loyalty without causing the suffering of children, then what kind of a God are you? And also, first of all, why do you even need a system of loyalty? I guess maybe that's my first question, followed by, if you really need a system to determine people's loyalty, if you can't just, divine that from your power of discernment, then why can you not devise a system by which innocent people don't have to suffer? And I think the hardest thing for me is thinking about God designing the universe and also allowing for that suffering to take place. And it's not just with human beings, it's also with nature. Nature is incredibly violent. I used to be a great appreciator of all things natural until I started listening to Brittany Hartley a little bit more, and I realized that along with all of the beauty and all of the transcendence that we can experience in nature, there's an incredible amount of violence in nature and an incredible amount of suffering. And even if you want to fool yourself into thinking that plants and animals are not sentient beings and that they don't have the same feelings that we do, it still is an incredibly violent system. And so I guess my question is, the overarching question would be, why do we need so much violence?
That's another good question.
That's more thought out than my question. I was gonna ask why did the Christian God make the blobfish? Have you guys seen that? The blobfish?
Blobfish.
Terrifying.
Yeah, if you can pull a picture of it, you should show it. I don't know why. What the hell is that? What's
I'll
it
get
I
right
have
on
this-
it, Diamond Dave.
I have
Yeah.
this philosophy, Dave. Tell me if this doesn't make sense. When we were up in the pre-existence, God told us all about the plan.
I think if we're stuck in the religious thinking of God, we're stuck of thinking this God rules all. And, I know I'm early in deconstruction from Mormonism, but I've been a very studious person. And I come back to year 10 science, where I learned about atoms, neutrons, protons, electrons. And to me, if you want to call it God, the energy that supplies all of the matter is God. And that, science is pretty violent at times when it changes and mutates. But there's a lot of beauty in it. If you take the rose, a rose is gorgeous when it's open and blooming, but it dies and it has thorns and it doesn't last the whole year. We have to be more accepting. I think life are beings made up of matter, and we are going to be drawn to things and repelled by things as individuals. And instead of looking at the God as this all creative being with all the answers, we need to start accepting that we are emotional people, our change our energy, we think a lot, and and we actually are better human beings when we're just good people, rather than intellectualizing everything and trying to find the fucking answer. Sorry for the F-bomb.
You can
It's
say
okay.
five.
We're 10 minutes. We're 15 minutes in. You're safe.
After 10 minutes, F-bombs are great.
F-bombs are
So,
okay.
That's right. Randy was saying something, I think.
yeah, Diamond Dave, here's my idea, and blow holes in it for me. But if indeed there's a God and there was a pre-existence, God told us all about the plan, and we were going to come down, about animals and all that, and we each were given the opportunity to create one animal. We got to design our own animal, and I don't know who designed the blobfish. I'm pretty sure I designed the Black Panther. I think I've had that personal revelation, but that blobfish is just horrible.
Maybe you designed it, Dave.
No, I would have designed the hippo. I mean, whoever designed that, I hope they go to hell. That is ridiculous.
I think Jimmy Durante designed the blob.
Oh, okay. All right.
Randy, I did not know that doctrine, that I got to design something before I came down here. Where did that come from?
That came
Wow.
from Randy chapter 4, verse 13.
Oh, gotcha. Well, I'm sad that I am not conscious of my opportunity and what I designed, because I would really like to know, what did I design? Maybe I designed the blobfish and I just don't know it. Sounds like
Megan,
something I would do.
as my dad used to say, you stick with me and you'll be wearing onions as big as diamonds.
Sounds amazing.
But, you know, Adam was naming the animals, and he got the blobfish right, I'd have to say.
Okay.
I would like to
Yeah.
know why Heavenly Father, in his infinite wisdom, and listen, this has been explained to me from the time I was old enough to go to primary. The reason for us coming down to the earth. Okay, here's the reason I've been told. So we can gain a body, so we can experience pain and joy and all the emotions that we experience down here. Why in the hell couldn't we experience them up there? Why even have to come down to an earth if he's all powerful and he can create and do anything? Why send us down to the earth to suffer?
Because you needed a body, Randy. You needed a body. You needed a body.
Well, guess what? He could have given us a body up there. He's got one, right?
Yeah.
Oh, but
Should have
he's
followed Satan's
resurrected.
plan. Satan's plan.
I figure if he wanted
Go,
us to have
Trevor.
a body, he could have created one up there.
Yeah,
So-
that was Satan's plan.
Listen,
Satan had a good plan.
They'll be knocking Satan's plan. Satan, you know,
That's what I'm saying.
I
He was a good
say
guy.
We got to go back and review the Satan plan. It's like
Satan
I'm
was the
not
good
against
guy.
it. That's right.
So it makes
That's what
no
I'm saying.
sense to me. I don't understand. I don't understand the whole, we had to come down to do this and that. That sounds like a line of bullshit to me, because we could have done everything we're doing up there still in a beautiful heavenly place. And I don't think I'm any better for having experienced the pain that I have if I was perfect up there.
I have a philosophy that Kolob is actually not that good of a place. This is my theory. It's like the bad side of Tucson, Arizona. It's like, this isn't the pretty side of Tucson, you know. And it's like that, and it's like everybody, we get together this council, and it's like, you know what? Let's all go down to Bisbee, because like even that's better than here, right? I don't know if you've ever been to Bisbee. In film school, I got like wasted in Bisbee. I'll just say that. In Bisbee, Arizona is the fucking balls to get drunk in. I mean, it's awesome.
Doug Stanhope's there.
You know,
I'd say this.
Joe, your theory actually makes a lot of sense. You know, maybe Kolob is a shithole, and the
Right.
only way to get out of there was to have a physical body. And so God decided to send us all down here to like circumvent the shithole. And that's actually making a lot of sense to me. It's like downtown Phoenix after a thunderstorm. It smells like piss and vinegar, and there's no reason to be there. It's like 112 degrees. You can't touch your door handle. And, maybe that's what Kolob actually was. And we had to gain a body so that we could get out of that shithole.
That's right. It's
I
like
kinda like
Chandler
this
during
side of
monsoon
Christian
season, and Chandler in monsoon season, when like every car is basically just floating in these streets that just didn't have a single drain put anywhere. That's Kolob. That's Kolob, like on a good day.
So it's marketing.
To get out.
So it's marketing,
That's right.
right? It's marketing, and they had the better marketeer. They're the better advertising firm.
But I wanted to say, if you wanted animals, nightmare fuel animals, don't look it up. To prove to you that Kolob's got to be a terrible place. If you went, somebody showed you a picture of sheep's head fish and the teeth of sheep's head fish, and you went, I'd still rather be there than here. Then Kolob's got to suck, man, because like that's. Those teeth on sheep's head fish will haunt your. Oh, see, you're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to actually look it up.
I'm going to do it every time, Joe. Every time.
Oh boy!
Yeah,
Oh,
that'll haunt
ouch.
your nightmares.
So
Is that what you think?
Let me say real quick something. You think about like who the worst assholes on earth are, right? And they're probably people who think they're all that. And they're people who want people to adore them and to worship them. And yet that's what God has set himself up to be.
Right.
Yep.
Exactly.
What low self-esteem would it take to want, billions of people pray and worship you?
It's hubris.
I thought when I was
would be fine if billions of people prayed to me and gave me their money. I'd be okay with that, personally speaking. Like,
but why would you value? Why would you value the? Sorry, why would you value the opinion of something you created?
Yeah.
Oh, hubris, ego.
Yeah, hubris. That's what I said.
Yeah,
hubris.
Yeah, hubris. Yeah.
Well, maybe you created that thing because you knew it would have the opinion that you are awesome. So you just created a bunch of people that think you're awesome. Do we not do the same thing when we have children? We created all these little tiny humans that believe that we're awesome and that we're Superman. And if we don't teach them about other ideas than our own, then we're doing the same thing that a jealous, vengeful God did. And what I wanted to ask you, Diamond Dave, is, like, if you could create a whole group of people that was going to worship you and give you money, yeah, that'd be cool. But if they refuse to worship you and give you money, would you then flood their living space so that they all died?
I mean, burn them in a barbecue grill.
Maybe.
You got it. It's mandatory.
I don't know.
Burn them up.
I don't know. Yeah,
I don't know. The early, if you look into one of my favorite things about being a mythicist, that's right. That's me. I'm just saying it. I'm a Jesus mythicist. Is that if you look into the early history of Christianity, it's super interesting because especially the Marcionites, were a group of people followed Marcion or Marcion, as he may have been called, likely was called, whose his whole philosophy, this is early Christianity, and his whole philosophy was, you read the Jewish scriptures, you read the Old Testament, and their God was a cruel, wicked being. The father of Jesus had to have been a better God. So there must be at least two gods, and the one in the Old Testament is wicked, and the one from the New Testament is virtuous and good. And I'm like, this isn't new. This is older than Catholicism. I mean, that's how far back this goes. So I mean, we're not new to this game. They've been trying to put the kibosh on this for a while.
Okay.
If you show me more fish.
That's the angler fish. It's another beauty.
Oh, that's
Wow.
At least you didn't look up fossilized drumfish teeth. That's
Well, I'm going to now.
Oh no,
Oh my
no,
gosh.
wait, no, you can't go doing that. Poor
Let's-
Tim, he's got enough nightmare fuel.
Let's give the floor to Kim D for a moment and see if she has any questions for God. Do you have any questions, Kim D? Rio for Life.
That's the interesting thing. I was thinking about this, and I don't know, the way I was raised, any question I could have will be inconsequential in the next life. It won't even be anything I would even come to my consciousness. And so that's the level of separation from everything that I have. I wouldn't even ask God anything, wouldn't even think about it. It's all been provided for me until it wasn't. So now I want to know why.
Here it comes.
Why have you allowed this true organization to viciously abuse children and women specifically with no relief and no end in sight? I want to know where my miracle is. I want to know. I've been the miracle for hundreds of people. Where's my miracle?
Talk about
Okay,
Scientology.
God, where is it?
I second that question, Kim.
That's a good question, Kim.
It's
Thank
a
you.
really good question.
That would be mine. Like, why did you send me down to the family that I was born into to be abused, to set me up for more abuse, for more abuse?
Yeah.
And a whole family set up for abuse, not just one-time little things. We're seeing all kinds of insanity. How in
Through
this
my entire family?
How?
Is that how is it that
Why?
you decided to
My
help?
question is why?
The 3 women we have here have been abused. That's 100%. And it wasn't me. So Tim,
Wasn't me.
I abused him a little bit.
Yeah,
Uh-oh.
I was told I wasn't going to be made to answer questions.
that's right. Unless you were God.
Oh,
That's right.
Only God answers
I'm not
questions.
yet. I'm not.
Oh no! What is this?
Oh no! Here we are.
oh.
I told you not to look up the drumfish teeth.
These are the teeth of the drumfish that Exmo Joe recommended. So here
Oh,
we
I
are.
did not. I said don't look at it.
Oh, you said
it?
don't look it
No,
up. I
you
thought you
said-
said definitely look it up.
Then I sent a link.
How is
in
that
the-
bad? It's little pebbles.
Those look like they would make better seer stones than whatever Joseph Smith had.
Okay. Now, what else don't you want her to look up?
I loved Susie Izzard's explanation back in the
Horsehair
90s. Susie
snake.
Izzard had that bit where she's talking about how there was, the God made the world in 6 days, and he's like, and then 7th day I smoked all the marijuana, and then on the 8th day I made a whole bunch of giant scaly monsters I saw in my dreams just the night before. And then he sends Jesus down, and they're like playing cards in the saloon. Gling, 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 gling. Jesus like walks in, and they're like, "Oh,
I don't know how many of you believe in UFOs. I mean, I totally believe in them just from things that
UAPs.
I see in the sky.
God by definition is an ET. So
Well, here's my question.
Alien.
though.
He's an alien.
he's an EB."
Yeah, who created other life forms in the universe or outside of the universe? Who created the
We're
aliens?
made in the image of
and
God,
who do
but
they
maybe
worship?
we're just all aliens here on Earth too. Then maybe
That's right.
Well,
Right.
I'm just
God's
saying.
crazy uncle created the bad aliens.
I mean, what does again? It's all Lucifer who's getting us in on the action. What does Lucifer say when he's challenged in the Garden of Eden? He says, "What have you been doing? The same as has been done in other worlds."
Other world.
Well, yeah.
By the way, did any of you guys think that it's weird? Go ahead, Randy.
Oh no, I'm just saying that's a quote from the temple in which I no longer believe. So,
What? Go ahead, Megan.
I was going to say, do any of you else think that it's weird that we follow Satan's instructions in the temple? Satan
Yes.
tells Adam and Eve, go get you fig leaves and make you aprons, which is
Aprons.
grammatically ridiculous anyway. But he tells everybody to go make themselves aprons, and then we put on the aprons that Satan told us to make.
Right.
Why are
Right.
we following Satan's instructions in the temple?
Because it's
Yeah,
about shame. It's about
never-
ingraining shame into you. They want you to
Never
be shameful. of
dawned
that.
on me while I was in the temple. But if it had, I think I probably would have raised my hand and been like, hold up a second. So Satan is telling us to be ashamed, and we are following his instructions. So aren't we doing Satan's plan right now? Isn't the church based on Satan's plan while
Yes.
where we're not allowed to choose for ourselves? David Bednar said there's no such thing as free agency now. It's moral agency. And so that's basically compelling church members to choose the right rather than saying you have free agency, you can choose whatever. No, what we've been told now by David Bednar is that we don't have free agency. There's only moral agency, which is Satan's plan.
And whose moral standard?
We have
David Bednar's moral standard, obviously.
Just rode off on a motorcycle.
That was David Bednar leaving on a motorcycle after I just called him out.
Using his
Damn it,
agency.
Balin.
No, he was using his moral agency to leave a discussion that makes him not feel the spirit anymore.
He's going to get a haircut.
Shelley, this whole time, I thought that your knees were tucked up to your chest, like you had shorts on or something, but that's part of your sweater. But didn't it look like it? Like her knees are tucked up to her chest?
It's a
Yeah.
bigger fit.
Are they
Randy
hot dogs
texted
or
me.
are they legs?
can.
Look how cute Shelly's legs are.
Yeah, Joe.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Well, you
Yeah,
got to
but
pull up
it's
tardigrade.
over.
I can't tell the difference between this picture and this picture right now.
which picture and which picture?
This picture and all those. strange-looking characters.
It's
Look,
the same
here's-
picture.
Here's a bunch of weird things that God created,
That's right. And some
And
of them are
also
talking.
fish.
and then here are some fish.
Oh,
same picture, different lighting.
And now Lori Daybell. Just kidding.
No, God,
No,
No.
sorry.
No, no,
Why?
no.
we'll move on to the newer
Oh.
ones.
But that's
Oh,
actually a good
man.
question. God, why didn't you break the walls down of the prison and let Lori go since she talks to you all the time?
Yes. And
Well,
she's
also
your
Jesus.
favorite.
I'll
She is
answer
Jesus'
because
favorite.
a girl in Scottsdale had lost her keys to her Jetta and needed them right then. I mean, can be everywhere all at once, can do everything, but not at the same time. Lori.
So it's everywhere all at once, but not everywhere everything all at once.
Of course,
I think I
obviously.
understand now.
Right.
He is
Get
just
it
a
now.
man at the end of the day. That's why he's so abusive.
Yeah, like I can help you find your keys, or I can save that child from being murdered, but not both at the same time. That's asking too
Yeah.
much.
Even though it can be everywhere, anywhere, all at once.
Now, that's an old sectarian notion and is false.
It's a new
Perjury.
Here's
movie.
a little question.
Oh,
I would like to know what we're supposed to do for eternity, because you can play a harp for so long, you can sit on a cloud for so long, but eternity is a long ass time.
I
The
was going to be
mathematical
eternally pregnant, so I don't know what you were going to do, but I was going to have a bunch of spirit children.
And
That was
get your
my
own,
mine.
get your own.
Well, I
harp.
guess
Randy clearly has never played the harp.
Right.
The church is
Very
taking that
math-
off the table.
Mhm.
Mathematically,
Right, harp,
the
you never go
answer
back.
Yeah, it's very
Matt-
addictive.
the answer to your question mathematically has to be Sudoku.
Drone
There's just no other answer there. It has to be Sudoku. or Minecraft.
I could make
Minecraft,
babies
it's fine, it's
forever.
Minecraft.
I could
just
do
wouldn't wanna take
Minecraft
care
for
of them.
eternity. I could do Minecraft
Right?
for eternity.
That's the whole philosophy. I mean, like, you know, the engine for Minecraft is built on this. They call it the build where you are philosophy. That's got to
Yep.
be how eternity works, right? It's just got to be like, how big is the universe? It's wherever you are right now, you're building there right now. And then you can just come back around and just like it goes building around you wherever you go. Now, that's some deep thinking right there. You
Yep.
get the Mormon Transhumanist Association on that one, man. Watch their minds get blown. Bradley, what's his name?
Carry shirts.
Bradley. Is Carrie
Isn't
Shirts
it-
in that?
I think it's a party of one named Carry Shirts.
Carry shirt.
He's only transhumanist Mormon. I mean, come on.
Is he
So I wanna-
transhumanist? I don't know.
I don't know. I'm just making a joke. I'm sorry.
Okay. Oh, okay.
I want to
thought he might
answer.
be in the chat
Yeah.
because he's
I want to
going to be
answer
on
Kinder
the show.
Kim's question. Do women get their own planet or just the guys? Just the guys, Kinder Kim. And the women, we get to bear spirit children for eternity. So we get to spend eternity pregnant with spirit children, which sounds just absolutely fantastic.
Delightful.
I
And
just
And
just
like,
washing our feet.
yeah.
To be
And
fair,
every time you get to make us donuts.
once a month you get to look at the planet. So let's be fair.
We do. I didn't know about that.
But it
Once
is
a month.
it is the highest calling after all, Megan. It is.
Well, you can never feel totally fulfilled without being a mother to millions of spirit babies.
Oh yeah.
I'm watching
Yeah, and
the
you're
Handmaid's-
special. So no one
What?
gets to talk about you. No one can say your name or pray to you or acknowledge your existence because you're too special and precious.
But from what I understand, they never taught me that. They never taught us that. So, they gaslighted that away from me too. So, not sure
Oh well.
whether that's true.
Well, Kim, we'll be your relief society, and we'll do it right here. I'm just gonna say.
Well,
Mother-
true, not true. It's kind of a gray area as far as what's doctrine.
I loved that. I loved that when I posted on my Facebook earlier this week, and some of you in here probably think we're commenters on it. And I said, "Is Relief Society just the most toxic gossip mill ever?" And oh my God, the comment. Some people are like, yes, but not as interesting as most.
Most what?
Most
Gossip
gossip mills. And
Did
then
you have-
somebody said, but very good at getting casseroles made. I was like, well, there you go.
Yeah, if you want casseroles or really bland tasting green chili chicken enchiladas, it's the best organization ever.
I heard a really good recommendation on those green chili enchiladas from a very reputable.
I'll
was saying-
share my recipe with you if you like.
Oh my gosh, I don't know that I'm ready for that. All right.
Well, how
I
do you
don't
know?
if I could use canned chicken.
Flavor is a victory for Satan.
Canned chicken and canned enchilada or canned jalapeno peppers.
No, not even that. Canned green chilies. Jalapeno
Green
peppers
chilies.
are way too spicy. Did you not
Green
know those are the devil's peppers, Tim? You can't use those.
Sorry.
I have seen I've seen ex-Mormon meetings here in Utah nearly come to blows with the first person who made a disparaging comment about funeral potatoes. Oh man. Even you can leave the church, you can leave the Lord's football team in Provo, you can leave Christianity and become a godless atheist, but you leave our damn funeral potatoes alone.
I've got to say, first of all, blows usually lead to coming, so I mean it's kind of common.
Well, there's a good point.
I don't know. I don't get that references. I am, and this is true.
You can leave the church, but don't you dare say a word about those funeral potatoes.
Funeral potatoes, they're aptly named because they not only provide nutrition while you're at a funeral, but they have ingredients that'll guarantee yours is near.
Hell yeah.
I don't believe that. That's all. That sounds all sciencey.
All the calories.
You have to believe in scientism to believe that.
Gene, you're wearing your shirt.
Wearing my shirt.
Ooh.
Guess I'll go full screen for a second. It's my birthday tomorrow, and Randy gave me this shirt.
It's very funny.
Love it. Love
How
it.
apropos is that for Gene?
It's very apropos.
I don't speak French, so I don't know.
I'm showing clavicle, so I'm rocking it.
I think it means appropriate, Joe. Just to translate for you.
I'm so
I don't
glad
speak nerd.
Teach me some French.
French.
Gene, did you have a question for God?
So, I was thinking about this, and in a way, the show could be almost like if God was a genie and you had 3 wishes, like 3 questions. And so I don't know.
Yes, 3 questions and.
But if it was like 3 wishes, I guess the one wish that all the mothers wish for is that their children never leave the church, right? So that they could be together in heaven. And then,
I wonder what they wished for now, though. Because that was a very boomer wish. Now it's got to be, I just hope my children will call once in a while.
Maybe it's, God, I want the garments to even be thinner in heaven.
That's something I never thought of. Do you have garments in the next life?
Well, yeah, it's the garment of the holy priesthood. It never
Or to
changed.
just go commando because you've already made
Well,
it.
But
you're buried in your
transfigured,
temple
you're a
clothes.
resurrected being. Do you really need that? You're not going to be the same. Ooh.
I will not be buried in temple clothes. Absolutely not. That is written in I literally wrote that in my afterlife instructions, what I gave my attorney.
You want to be married?
Randy,
What's that?
Watts, I thought about you more this week than I have at any other time, and that's something to say because I think
So one time?
Wow.
No,
if I had $1 for every time someone told me that.
Wow.
But I don't know if you have Max, formerly known as Hubo.
Yes.
But
I do.
if you've been watching The Mortician on
Yes.
Max,
I
my
sure
God.
have. I said
I'm
that
the
there were
big-
bad eggs, and he's a bad egg.
I had no idea this Lamb funeral home thing. It is like a scandal that keeps re-scandalizing on a bigger and bigger level. I'm just like, if you guys haven't watched it, you got to watch The Mortician on Max. It's like, what the hell?
For
When
him
they
to
show,
cremate that many people in that short period of a year, he would literally have to, and he did, cut off the arms and the legs, break bones, whatever, to shove as many people into that crematorium oven as he could. And when it was totally packed full, and you know what? It wasn't even up to the right heat because they had fat running. Did you see the field with big
that was
buckets of
the
fat in it?
I can't get that image out of my mind. The trough for the fat that was pouring out of the ceramic tile ovens. I'm like, the fuck?
It's
Where
because,
was that?
Fat
it's
is the
because
flavor.
it's not hot enough and it's not burning the fat. It's like, a big roast in
Rending.
an oven.
It's rendering it.
rendering it.
And
Yeah,
then when they have
that's it.
the pictures, the investigators are like, and whatever reservoir they were they're pulling it into outside the building had obviously overflowed because it was just pouring over across the desert sand. It was like,
Where
So,
is
yeah,
this at? Where's
this is
this at?
on Max.
No,
Yeah,
that
that's
place
exactly-
where
No,
this
no.
happened.
It's in California.
California, here I come.
It was
It's
Los
in
Angeles.
Pasadena.
Yeah, Pasadena. That's right. That's right.
Yeah, it's.
Honestly, I don't have a problem with any of that personally.
I knew
So-
when they told the driver that was collecting the bodies that he was making $700 a week. I'm like, something ain't right here. Before they even got into what was going on, I'm like, they don't pay drivers $700 a week. It's just not possible. When he's only charging $50 per cremation, but he's
This
making
guy sounds-
$50, 20, 30 bodies at a time.
Sounds
it's
like he's
just-
doing the Lord's
Then you
work.
go-
it's
But then you get to
unbelievable.
the when you get to the
Bring-
end of the episode where they explain how he's actually making the money, and it's like, okay, you thought he was making money by mass cremating all these individuals and just stuffing them into these ovens as many as possible and just giving however many ashes to the families. Like, this, your loved ones, probably some of this is probably them, you know. But then it's like, then you get into how he really was making the money, and it's like, you bastard.
Right? Yeah. And
I mean, I'm
And
getting
you find out-
cremated, so no temple garments for me. I'm just gonna get cremated.
I'm going dumpster suicide. Cut out the middleman.
That's right. Change with Dane said that Moroni wasn't wearing garments. When Joseph Smith could tell that Moroni was a boy because
Joseph
the
Joseph
bosom-
Smith. Where
Joseph
Generals
Smith,
Smith
hanging
wasn't
out.
wearing garments. I still get people who are shocked at that. But yeah, Joseph Smith told all the brethren to take their garments off, you know, because it was too
Hell
hot.
yeah.
So everybody's without the garments.
Throw them in the
it's a
trash,
documentary,
Joseph.
Kinder Ken.
So neither Randy nor Dave nor I will be wearing Satan's apron when we're buried.
Me
Viking
either.
funeral for me, by the way.
I'll go
So none
get
for
one.
Tim.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
I'll go get one
Cremated,
online.
No apron. No.
Well, still my parents' apron.
No white cloth on me.
If any one
My
of you
family would
wants
be
to
too
be,
cheap to buy anything, so they wouldn't do it.
if any of you
all I
want
know
to
is
be around,
Megan's garments have already been cremated. That's what I recall. I think
That's correct. When I left the church, I had a burning ceremony and I burned everything in my house that was Mormon, except for I hung on to one quadruple combination because I had loaned it to my daughter and I didn't know if she wanted it for sentimental reasons. I hung on to one picture of faceless Jesus that was given to me by one of my daughters. And I hung on to my print of The Crossing at the Sweetwater by Clark Kelly Price because I wanted to remember that there were people who left their homes and everything that they loved and everything that they held dear to pull and handcart across the plains to another country so that they could live what they believed. And they suffered and they starved and they froze to death and they died because one man wanted to marry and F teenage girls and because he wanted money and power.
He was delusional, I think, but yeah.
so you're saying it was worth the price. Then
And also that the Mormon trail that they came over on could become a controversy when the descendants of those people then decided that Mormon is a victory for Satan.
Hell
Exactly.
yeah. Satan
So the
for the
word that they
win.
died for became a victory for Satan.
yeah.
Makes sense.
So
You know,
Song
It's
said,
called-
"I'd ask Mormon God for the locations of the 3 Nephites, the actual gold plates, and the
No, it's
hill
already
from
3
Noah."
right there. 3 Nephites. That's 3 questions already. 3 Nephites.
That's right. 3 Nephites.
Too many.
There would be 3
That's it.
answers for just that one
You're cut off.
question. But you know that the gold plates were the first thing on my shelf. Not that I have gold plates on my shelf, but why would the gold plates need to be taken from the earth if they were here? That wouldn't that
Gotta
be
have
great
faith.
to have them in a museum?
It's got to be a real
Salt
hard
Lake City
test.
right now.
Well, to protect them from being stolen or defaced in any way.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
if people look at it, they die instantly. So people are going to deface
Yeah.
them.
That's why even when Joseph Smith was translating from them, he couldn't have them in the house where he was translating from
Right.
them. He has to have them in the stump of the tree of the log out in the woods where he knows, and then can Wi-Fi it from the hat and the rock. I mean,
Yeah.
It's like the Ark of the Covenant. If he looked at him, then his skin would melt and he would just be eyeballs and skull.
obviously
Joe's a good
I
guy.
saw the movie. Yeah.
He
If
could have just
he-
shown them all to the ruffians. He could have just shown them, but he's a nice guy, and he hid them from them.
That's right. That's right. Otherwise, how would they have?
He actually prevented tragedy by not
Yeah,
showing
he's a
them
good
to
guy. He's a hero, I think.
We make a very good Relief Society, I have to say.
Does anybody know anyone who went on a trek?
I went. I did. Yeah, I did.
You went on trek?
Yeah, in
Multiple.
like 2004.
See, I would have done it if it was Star Trek. I would have.
It was that.
I
Yours
did a
was
trek
Star Trek?
through the Cajon Pass.
I only did the teenage day camp one.
My
But
daughter did the teenage day camp one. Well, it was not just day camp. They actually stayed overnight, and they did it over spring break here in Texas, which is normally relatively mild, but she did relate to me that 2 of the 3 mornings that she woke up and they had to sleep on the ground, that her hair was literally frozen to the ground because of the dew, the overnight dew that came in. And
Living
she
in
said that
Colorado,
she
we
was,
actually went up in the mountains.
yeah.
If I could tell you how many women I have known, how many times I have heard the story, I got my first period on a Mormon a pioneer trek, and then if you knew that, and then had heard anybody tell you that John DeLynn causes ex-Mormonism, it's like you obviously don't know about first period on the pioneer trek. Because I can't tell. I mean, literally, multiple women. It's like, oh yeah, this is the first time I was on the pioneer trek. And it's like I was so embarrassed, I didn't know what to do. Yeah,
John DeLynn causing ex-Mormonism is like saying McDonald's causes hunger.
I tell you, someone correct me on my theology, if you will. I mean, correct my Mormon theology. If you will. I was on a live once on TikTok. And somebody said to me, I heard that Mormons don't believe in hell, which just explains to you why Mormons are such sweet people. And I said, well, let me explain something to you. It's the most Mormon thing ever. I have behind me Doctrines of Salvation by Joseph Fielding Smith. Okay. And let me explain a little something to you. When you don't make it to the highest tier, not just Get Mormon, but the highest tier of Get Mormon, you are resurrected without your genitals into a world where people who are resurrected, namely with their genitals, like your parents, because they got Mormon to the ultimate Get Mormon level, can come down to your level to visit you and just
If they choose to.
What's that? If they choose to,
If
that's
they
right.
choose to.
You are part of their progeny, just not part of the eternal darkness progeny.
But they don't choose to now, so why will they then?
So Joe actually described a condition where there might be celestial penis envy.
TK smoothie, baby.
That leads to my
I
question for
offered
God.
TK Smoothie if you weren't satisfied with what you'd gotten here in the terrestrial kingdom. It's like, well, this is definitely terrestrial glory.
Boy, this has gone downhill fast.
Well, that's
I
good.
wanna
That's a good
hear-
segue.
Society.
Yup.
I want to hear Diamond Dave's question.
Okay.
That was my question. The blobfish.
Oh,
You only have one question. Want to also say thanks, Trevor, for giving us a shout out when you called in on Mormonism After Dark or whatever.
Yes, Friday.
yeah. Happy to help.
Nice.
Thank you.
Hey, I told Gene this morning, but I heard this from my son yesterday. We were talking about how you cannot tell TBMs, true believing members of the church, anything without an argument. They won't listen to it. They won't accept it. They won't acknowledge it. My son says, yeah, it's like a honeybee trying to convince a fly that honey is better than shit.
Yeah, I had a brother recently who left the church.
That was way funnier than I thought. That was great. No reaction. What are you all
I'm
dead?
sorry. I'm sorry.
Well-
I was muted, Randy. I'm sorry. I laughed hysterically, but I was muted. I apologize.
We,
Laughed on the inside.
we've already gone past that, Randy. We've already descended further and further.
Okay, well,
Tim have
Trevor
a
wants to
snake
say
or
something.
does Tim have a snake or a cat's toe?
This is Jan's tale. Jan came to visit me. I've had.
Well, I have a brother who recently left, and I tried to get him out about a decade ago. And he's actually the brother who went on that mission with the companion who got arrested. I talked about Mormonism Live, and he recently left. And I was like, I tried to tell you, and he's like, well, I just wasn't ready. I was like, all right.
Did you say I could have saved you $70,000 in tithing?
Oh yeah, and he's a doctor too, so he's making
Oh wow,
good money.
Damn.
So the question with the TBMs, I think what you have to do is you have to start your conversation like this. What do you value more? Ignorance is bliss, or the glory of God is intelligence?
Right?
whose intelligence?
In other words, intelligence is like discussing things and talking about stuff, and you exercising your brain. Sticking your head in the sand is that you're afraid of information that might make you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That's the difference between intelligence and seeking knowledge. I only learned how to seek knowledge. I didn't know of anything about intelligence, what to do with it, what to think about it, feel about it. I like what you just said. That's really hits.
You know,
That way, they would be forced to talk to you.
years ago, I wrote a thing that on Facebook, so nobody saw it. But back in the day, when I had like 3,000 friends on Facebook or whatever, and I called it "My Conversation with My Heavenly Grandfather," and it was this fantasy, and it was driven by that one verse that says, "Whatever relationship we attain to in this life rises with us in the resurrection." And I said, I have. From the time I was young and a Mormon, I fantasized that one day my heavenly grandfather, so Heavenly Father's Heavenly Father, would take me fishing, and I would ask him questions. Because, like, you know, Amen, Elohim, it's like, I'm good, buddy. You know, you and I, you had your chance. But like, where my heavenly grandfather and I would go fishing, and I would just go, do you know what they did to us down there on earth? Do you know about this? And I put that in my fantasy. My heavenly grandfather is just sitting there stoically reeling in fish and going, you know, Amen, that boy's not quite right. And we've known it for a long time.
We should have catch him, released that one. We should have released him when he caught him. He's no good.
He's got a lot of pent up trauma that's still unresolved there, and the things it's like I heard that he had people like cutting off pieces of babies' genitals and stuff. It's like at some point you can only hear so much. It's like
he's always talking about getting crucified. I don't know what his deal is.
Right.
You know,
right. Like,
Exmo Joe, I have to tell you, I'm a person that has like very vivid dreams. I keep a dream journal and I do a lot of Jungian dream analysis. And I actually had a dream the other night where I was at a friend's house who had just had a newborn baby, and I was like helping them clean up and make meals and whatever. And I was helping change the baby. And I was like, oh God, this poor baby that's been circumcised and they're in so much pain. I was like, why are we still circumcising babies in this day and age? Why are we still doing this to infant children? And basically, when I put that into my Chat GPT for Jungian dream analysis, it was like, you're challenging the conventional norms of your upbringing and trying to decide why we as society are still harming children for no reason. And I was like, yes, can we please stop this? Like, it's almost like what you're saying is like you go to grandpa and you're like, do you know what your son did? And he's like, yeah, he's kind of messed up in the head a little bit. You know, I just can't vouch for him. Like the concept of a heavenly grandfather is like the coolest thing I think I've heard in years, where you're like, do you know what your son did? And he's like, yeah, sorry about that. You know, I love you. I think you're cool. He's probably kind of judgy. You know, he might have, you know, I know he like flooded the whole earth and lots of people died and that kind of sucked. Shouldn't have done that, you know?
You guys want to hear a fun story about my grandpa?
Always.
So he is one I've talked about. He was in World War II and everything. Anyway, next to his house, I lived the house next to him. In between us was like a barn with a bunch of feral cats. And to get rid of them, he would fill a bucket full of water, put the cat in, and then put the lid on and drown the cat. So that's fun.
That's a fun story.
Yeah. So that's how my childhood went.
Was he Joseph Fielding Smith?
He was Mormon. But I think he came from the mindset of Mormonism where everything is meant for us. So if you want to kill something, it's for us, you know, like who cares?
Well, you know that story about Joseph Fielding Smith when he was on his mission to Hawaii, and he recorded in his diary about how, or in his diary or a letter or something, I think it was, that they had excommunicated wasn't it a cat, and the things they had done to it, and they basically tortured and killed an animal for fun on his mission. Yeah.
So I have
he was messed up.
They're here for our pleasure.
I have a lot of questions. First of all, was the cat properly interviewed for baptism prior to its baptism?
Oh yeah, he made little white clothes for it. Did the whole ceremony. It was very official.
Were all of the cat's hairs under the water prior to, like when it was baptized? Did all the hairs go under?
Oh,
because
the bucket.
I had to be dunked a second time.
The bucket was filled to the top.
And do cats have to be baptized 9 times like that?
One time did the trick, was my memory. One time was good.
And who was the witness to this cat's baptism? And were they worthy? Did
I
we
was
do
there.
a full interview on that person? And
I was
so
quite
then,
young.
did we hold
You were
a
there.
proper
I was
membership
there.
council to
I
determine
was
that
maybe-
this cat was no longer worthy to administer in the ordinances of the holy priesthood?
And did the missionaries get a
Confirmation, did they
referral
confirm the cat?
cat?
Yes.
Yes, there was there. I wish I had it pulled up in front of me, but there were notes about how many people were there and what the process was for determining the process. And yeah,
I watched the cat's feet never came out of the bucket. It was lid on, clean.
Anybody here get baptized more than once because a hair or a foot raised up?
My toe came out of the water. I had to be dunked a second time. I thought I failed at my baptism.
My grandpa would just cut the toe off, move on.
Okay. That's the part that's not saved.
So,
Not
yeah,
saved.
So
the
Megan had to
never
be
made
there.
it to heaven.
That
toe
was
went out
not-
of darkness. That was
the
it.
second time was rebaptism after excommunication. So
That
I have something that I'd
that
like
toe is
to
not
say.
part of the body of Christ.
I'd like to say one thing about circumcision before we leave that. Here in
Please, please,
Spokane-
Randy.
Yes, please. We've been waiting on that.
Spokane, there was a baby born that had no eyelids, and they were actually able to circumcise the baby and use the foreskin to create eyelids. And I asked
Very
the
cool.
doctor how he was doing the other day. The doctor said, well, he's a little cockeyed, but other than that, he's okay.
Ha ha.
Thank you, Randy. Do you
Thank
know
you,
what they
Randy.
give babies for a painkiller after circumcision?
Please no.
They just give them sugar because they never had sugar before, so it's like a painkiller for them. So they just give them sugar, and it's a painkiller.
Oh, it's like a drug.
Yeah,
And
Fires off the brain.
yeah, just give them sugar and works out, I guess.
I'm still trying to
I'd-
cure that time where they whacked off the tip of my member. 'Cause I have sugar all the time.
yeah,
I think I'd need a little more than sugar.
when I came over to Australia and I married my husband here from Canada, I was a bit surprised that they don't carry that process over here. I was a little bit, oh, that's different.
It's an anteater.
Yeah.
They don't? Huh.
So
It's kind of automatic in
I won't say.
well, North
I won't
America,
say how.
but I think that there's a lot more countries I've been educated that have the option.
Yeah, it's not as popular in other countries.
It was actually made popular in America by Dr. Kellogg, or by a guy named Kellogg. The guy.
Kellogg.
Hell yeah.
Kellogg's
Cornflake
cornflakes.
guy. Yep.
Yeah.
So it looks
We
like
invented
should,
change with
cornflakes to
Dane.
make sure that we didn't get stimulated.
Look
You
on
know,
the screen. Change with Dane looks like he baptized a prospective member, and it went so many times that he had a fear of water, but after several times they called it off because too much trauma.
So it's interesting because I was going to say, I actually had my first baptism I did in Peru was like that, but I wasn't having it. It was just like, because it was the summer months, which our summer up here down in south of the equator is cold as balls, and there's no water heater in the baptismal fonts in Peru. Well, at least not when I was there. And this woman, she just would not go on. She would suck in a whole bunch of air and float at the end. And so right as she was going under, and she looked at me with her eyes just pleading. I'd converted this woman. And finally I just looked at her and I said, Hermana, don't worry. I got you. And just the look in her eyes what the hell does that mean? And I'm just having been commissioned of Jesus Christ. And then I took my foot and swept her feet out
You
underneath
swept the
her
leg.
and pushed her down into the water and yanked her back up. And I'm saved.
Hell yeah.
Oh,
Next
my.
mojo. You swept the
was-
leg.
I did. Oh, I did. I was going to save this bitch's soul if it was the last thing I did. If I killed her in the process, I was going to save this bitch.
And what was her
Okay.
reaction to this? How
She
did
was
react?
traumatized. She was traumatized. It
She
was
never
like,
came back.
I don't
Did
know.
she stay?
She did. She
So
did
here's
say
a
no.
question. Here's a question. Are any of you aware of someone who is baptized with goggles on? Because my youngest son had an intense fear of the water, and when he was 8 years old and it was his time to be baptized, he refused to go under the water. So we had to
He's going to hell.
reschedule his baptism for a
Straight
week
to hell.
later.
Straight to hell.
But hold on. Hear me out. Hear me out. We
Straight to
rescheduled his baptism, and a month later, he was baptized wearing his swim goggles so that he didn't have to put his face under the water and have the water over his eyes. So first of all, I have two questions. Is his baptism valid? Number one. And number two, do you know anyone else who had the same affliction that had to be similarly dunked?
I've heard of a couple instances of that happening, but from what it sounds like, it's extremely rare.
Yeah. I
Well,
don't
the
My
bishop
grandma-
gave permission for him to be baptized in his goggles, and so because his bishop
Gift
gave
of
permission,
discernment was available.
Yeah, exactly. I count. I think it's valid. I count it, but some people say, he's like you guys are saying, he's going straight to outer darkness.
Okay.
Invalid.
Look,
My
the
mother
fact is, I
was-
probably shouldn't have been baptized. I don't think my baptism was valid because my dad did it, and he did some things that he shouldn't have done to be able to give me the baptism. So, does that mean I'm not a member?
Oh yeah, you're out.
I
You better
mean,
My-
if they
resign just to be sure.
My
Until
mother
you're
was
110,
7 years
you're
old when she was baptized. She was almost 8. She wasn't quite 8 yet when she was baptized.
blasphemy.
So does
That
No
is
good.
blasphemy.
Rejected.
Rejected.
She got a blessing from an apostle to do it.
No good.
My grandfather got permission from, I think it was Anthony Ivins, who gave him permission to do it.
The
Well, there you go.
baptism of children is an abomination before God. It is blasphemy.
Because
Especially
a
when they're
child,
7, because they don't even know what they're doing. They're very mature at 8. So
Right.
Right.
eight's okay.
I will remind you that the wisest man in the Book of Mormon said, quote, and I will throw it out there for whoever is going to say the name of this wise man from the Book of Mormon that gave us this fullness of the gospel, that a child is not guilty because of its parents. Who was that wise man, ladies and gentlemen?
Satan.
No.
Oh,
Korihor.
Korihor! Yes, bitch, yes!
I knew.
Of course it was Korihor. I thought it was
Satan's the only
you.
good guy.
Kinder
Korihor
Kim says
was
the
the
holy
man.
water did not touch his eyes, and so his eyes are not saved. And I will say, I'm sure the holy water also did not touch his pancreas because now he's a type 1 diabetic, and it's because he wasn't fully immersed in the holy water.
That's
Well,
right.
now
It
I'm
comes in
worried
at
because
the
I
eyes.
closed
Right.
my eyes, and so it didn't touch my eyes either.
Well, your eyes are going to outer darkness
Yeah,
then,
same.
Randy.
That's why you only see darkness. That's why you only see evil.
Are you making fun of me
Your
because I'm totally blind?
Are you blind, Randy?
No.
We're not making fun of you. We're just saying how it is. If your eyes weren't baptized, then they're not blessed with the holy water.
That's right.
We're saying you're a sack of shit, Randy.
But is the water holy? I thought it was only the ordinance. I'm
That's where
confused
that's
now.
where
It's not like
it's
the
the Kim's
Catholic
way.
Church where you actually have the holy water,
Yeah.
Correct.
and I thought we were like so much more mature as 8-year-olds choosing to be baptized instead of like having to be baptized as an infant in the Catholic Church. Like there's no choice there. Little did I know.
No, we're just making shit up, honestly.
The doctrinal answer, as I understand it,
It's
is
kind of
that
like Joseph Smith did.
the immersion is what matters. It's got nothing to do with the quality of the water. It has to do with symbolically being buried and then resurrected with Christ. And so if you've got goggles on, that makes sense because you got clothes on too. I mean, so what difference does it make? As long as you go under the water. That's like,
Yes, but Exmo Joe, there are some who would say goggles, clothing, same thing. There are others who will say we should all be baptized naked with no goggles on because then the holy water can fully, or the ordinance can fully take effect.
I'm
Megan,
for that.
Megan, I don't care what cousin Chad told you. I'm just telling you what I know to be.
I volunteer to be a witness.
Yeah, no
I'll take
kidding.
it.
The baptism
Well,
would be so
okay.
gentle.
Does anybody know about how to become a Jew, a real Jew? If you're a convert, you go through a mikveh, a bath, naked. You walk into a baptismal font naked, in and out.
I thought
So-
it was you.
I
thought it was
thought
you
for sure
finance.
I thought for sure we were going back to the circumcision conversation. I'm like, let it go, Tim.
See, but
Let
I've
it
been
go.
told it was you finance a film in Hollywood, and that's to become Jewish.
Oh man.
You what?
You finance a film in Hollywood.
Speaking of circumcision, my dad said a rabbi told him the pay wasn't very good, but the tips were amazing.
I think I killed Joe with that one.
So here's Megan laughing, and she said she'd be able to do 45 minutes, and she's already been here an hour and 15 minutes. And that's part of what I'm trying to do is keep
And that
Megan
that
laughing.
is a great time for me to bow out. I actually do have to leave. I'm really
All
sorry.
right.
I have to go to a podcast to talk about serious things now. So
This is wait, more serious than this?
We're
Come on,
serious
this
and
is-
anti-Semitism. Come on.
This is questions for God.
Questions,
more
so
serious than
conversations
calling
of-
God a narcissist and participating in
Yes.
anti-Semitism.
Yes.
Yes, unfortunately.
Yes.
Yes.
I can't.
Well, go have fun.
Can't just crack jokes about cousin Chad all day, every day.
You know what? The thing is, though, I'm coming back for the after show because if this is the actual show where we're live,
We have 8
what the hell is
viewers.
the after show gonna be like?
You could abandon
We're gonna
all
do it
8
next
viewers.
week.
We have 20 viewers right
We
now.
have 20
We have
viewers.
20?
Officially, we have more
20.
viewers than are on the panel, and that is a
Jesus.
victory for Satan if I've
I'm
ever
taking-
seen one before.
I'm taking credit for that.
That's right.
After
Everybody
show
came to
is
see
naked.
Trevor's beard.
My anti-Semitism brought the crowds.
Exactly. All right, I'll see you guys in the after show.
All right. See you in a bit.
But speaking of that, Tim, I was thinking of volunteering my services to for the meetup Mormonism discussion thing in Salt Lake. I was going to say to raise some money for you to get a scholarship or whatever, is that I'll go missionary cosplay.
Okay.
So I'll go clean shaven as a missionary.
No,
If people donate money.
don't shave off your beard.
I've done it before for money.
Okay. All right.
Like 4 or 5 years ago at my work, we had a costume contest. So on like Thursday, I looked like this, and on Friday, I was clean shaven, white shirt and tie, and I won the contest.
Oh,
You could tell
okay.
people 10 cents a hair, and people can donate $1.50.
Yeah.
$3,
Yeah, I mean-
$4.
My other question for God is if
And
he
you can
really
show the
knows how many
progress.
there are.
Yeah.
'Cause he counted all of them, right? Then we would know.
How many
How
what?
many what?
How
What?
many hairs
Counted
are
all
on a
the
beard?
hairs.
The hairs on your head.
Yeah, so
How many hairs are on my beard?
5.
At least 5. Yours too. Well,
Mine
if
says
somebody
3.
wants to lend me the money to drive or fly to Salt Lake for Sunstone and pay my way to Sunstone, I'll take it. I have a place to stay, I think, while I'm there.
I thought you were
Sounds
going to
good.
say you'd shave your beard.
Pardon?
I thought you were going to
What?
say you'd shave your beard if someone paid your way.
I'd do that. I'd shave it off.
That's what I was going to say. I'll shave my beard for it to pay your way.
Yeah, I'd shave my beard off. I don't know if my friend would like it, but I'd shave it.
Does it cost money to go to Sunstone?
Yes.
Mm.
Does it? How much?
I don't know. Look.
I mean, like, are there tickets? that
About
you have to-
$180 for the full session. You can do one day at a time. You can do just a couple of sessions for $30 or something.
I remember the one time I went, I walked right in because I was filming for Kate Kelly. Kate Kelly had asked me to come in and broadcast live stream for her on the internet. And I probably walked in with all my camera gear and nobody asked me anything. So maybe I don't know if it was free back then or if they saw that I was with the camera crew and they're like, oh, well, he's part of the crew.
So Randy, borrow Xmojo's camera and tell them that you're doing a documentary on me.
I'll do that. I'm going to call it the Gene. Oh,
The selfish
I
gene.
got to think on that. Something about genes.
Like
Old
what's his name? Gosh, why am I blanking? Dawkins, like Dawkins' book, The Selfish Gene.
Yeah. Is
The
this
selfish
happening with
gene.
everyone? Where-
$175 for the full registration.
Selfish Gene.
No, you seem to be freezing up a little bit, Randy, every now and then.
Yeah, I'm wondering about that because I can see my movements 3 seconds after I do them,
Right.
and I'm wondering what that's all about.
Maybe back out and
Listen.
come back in and see if that helps.
Let me
any.
back in. Well, if you want to.
That's
I'm
right.
gonna-
You
I'll let
got to
back-
knock 3 times and know the secret password.
That's right.
He switched that Trump mobile, and now he can't
Oh.
keep.
Remember, it's submarines, false or true.
$450 smartphone, good, man.
Look, Shelly donated money. Australian
Hey!
$7.99.
Wow. Thank you, Shelley.
Dude, that's like $15 American. That's awesome.
Wow.
But Tim,
Yes.
in the live chat, I told you I'd come pick you up if you need. Like, I'll come pick you up and bring you to Salt Lake.
I know.
I'm serious. I'll do it.
Wow, Mormonish just finished. That was a long Mormonish.
Really? They just finished? Wow.
Ish indeed.
Or Masinga link ate dinner
Oh my
after
gosh.
Mormonish was over and then came on. So Masinga link, if you want to join the show even and say hi to Tim in person, we can try to see if I can get the StreamYard link here. Uh-oh.
I was gonna say we were talking before about talking about dads, and Father's Day, as you all recall, was just
Yesterday.
right? Not quite yesterday, but the day before.
Oh,
I called
close
my
enough.
dad.
Well, my son gave me
Jesus'
this
Day.
for Father's Day. So
A day's
Yeah.
only for Jesus. Jesus only.
My dad gets a phone call at best, but but I love him. I do love him. But my very Mormon dad, he calls, I would talk to him, and he says, "I saw your picture the other day." I'm like, "Okay, thanks, Dad. Cool, that's cool." He's like, "No, I saw your picture on the internet." "Ah, Dad, don't look me up on the internet." And he's like, "No."
Dick pic? Dick
He
pic?
said, No.
I
don't know
know
why
that
my-
penis anywhere, son.
He said, "Good Lord." First with the anti-Semitism, and now this, man. I don't know, man.
That's how I roll,
but no,
man. That's why I'm the king of the live chat.
My dad says, "No, it was on RFM," and I was like, "What the fuck are you doing watching Mormon discussions?" He's like, "I love that show," and I'm like, "You're telling me that you're my Mormon dad? You watch Mormon discussions and you don't watch the Church of Korahor?" He's like, "No." He's like, "But they were talking about Kulch, and so your picture came up while they were talking about Kulch," and I'm like, "How do you know about Kulch?" And he's like, "I love Kulch." I'm like, "What the heck?"
That's the ultimate slap in the face.
Yeah, but my dad, I'm at the end of the day, my dad, it's a secret we don't tell mom. Sister Rollins doesn't know about this, but my dad thinks that Nemo the Mormon is like amazing. He's like, "I love that guy Nemo the Mormon. He is really cool." And I'm like, "What are you doing, man?"
I don't think your dad's really Mormon. I think what we're learning here. Your dad's Jack Mormon.
He wants. I think he wants to bail, but he won't. He never will.
Yeah, same as me. My parents never bail.
It's got too
Well, I'm
much
gonna
tithing
head out.
invested.
I
It's
will
fucking cost
see you
fallacy.
guys later.
See you,
And,
Kim. It's
Okay.
good to see you.
Bye.
bye.
Bye. Well, I'm looking at my calendar. I have to rearrange some appointments.
Yeah,
That's gonna
right,
happen.
Tim. You're retired. You don't have appointments.
Tell it to my doctors.
Kinder
Okay.
Kim wanted to know more about the meetup that's in Salt Lake. Radio
For
Free Mormon and
RFM and Bill Real.
Yeah, I bought a ticket, so I'll be there.
Okay.
Possibly clean shaven, white shirt and tie. We'll see.
I'm going to bring a camera and pretend I'm filming Exmo Joe and see if
I
can
could
get
bring a camera too. I got a camera.
I have
It
to
would
say,
be
I'm
fun, but I can't make it.
That's
what?
right.
Doggone it. Why not?
dare you,
It's only a
Dave.
50-hour flight.
57-hour flight.
57-hour flight.
What's that between friends, Dave?
Dave moved to Mongolia to get out of all the wedding announcements that he was supposed to go to, all the wedding receptions.
I didn't have friends in Utah. I don't go to weddings.
Well, you left too soon, Dave. I live in Utah. Come on.
I came this close to submitting a paper to Sunstone about to present at Sunstone about Joseph Smith's atheism, and I didn't wind up doing it. But yeah, I thought about it. So there you go. That's as close as I got to Sunstone this year.
It's a thought that counts.
That's right.
I'm tempted though. Years past, they sell baptismal clothes at DI, a church-owned whatever thrift store. I'm tempted to buy one of them and wear it to the meetup. Back when I was in high school, one of my friends bought them and went swimming in them.
God.
Yeah, at least they used to sell them at DI, like baptismal clothes.
Like the
Oh,
onesies?
baptismal clothes.
Baptismal clothes.
Like one suit, like white, like waterproof,
piece.
whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
One-piece suits.
I'm tempted to wear one of those if I can find one.
I'd love to.
Dane,
walk down the
to answer
street.
Dane's
Oh, wait.
question, I have not even met a Christian here in Mongolia, let alone one of the lost tribes.
Hallelujah. I'm moving to Mongolia.
Oh, you won't like it here.
If there's no Christians, I'll be loving it.
Yeah, but
Yes,
given
but
our
then-
after show convo last time, you wouldn't do well here.
That's true. I like drugs, all right? All right, guys, I like drugs.
Okay.
Okay, Randy wants to say something.
I don't know anything about that. No, but if I got onto the Desnat guys' reading list recently. I've been doing the research into Desnat, and one of the newer guys, with the neo symbolism all throughout his videos about Joseph Smith and everything. He has this huge reading list, and everything is the Israeli origins of the Danes, the Israeli origins of the Swedes, the ancient Israelite origins of all these cultures. And I have to say, Mongolia was not among them, which
What?
that's startling. Which
How
is
come
They
amazing.
that?
conquered the world.
But according to this guy, I mean, one of his documents is the Book of Mormon, which claims that the Indians, that the natives, indigenous peoples of the Americas, are ancient Israelites, and they're from Mongolia. So you explain it to me. He doesn't buy the Beringian Strait story, basically.
Bering Straits, you mean?
Okay, Randy,
Yeah,
test out your microphone. I could barely hear you last time.
Really? How does it sound
Yeah.
now?
It sounds
Very
a little
good.
bit better.
Oh, good. I must have been in the Twilight Zone or something because
No,
now I kind
You
of
stayed
match
again.
my movements.
Should we talk more about lamb mortuary, lamb crematorium, and the woman talking about how she found her husband?
I
The
knew
mud-
a law enforcement officer who was looking at DNA and cremations in Las Vegas. I think they were a federal agent that explained the story to me about how they got these cremates and they were looking for different, and there were like 6 or 7 different DNA strands in there from different people.
Did the
Wow.
the DNA survive the cremation?
Well,
That's remarkable.
whatever. I don't know if it was DNA,
Oh,
but whatever. She told me that there was
It was a
different-
woman. It was a pack of lies.
Huh? What?
I'm kidding.
Somebody put Randy in me and Trevor. Or
I
they're
am
spilling over
single.
on me.
Let's be clear. I am single.
There you go.
What?
No,
What
but
did you say? I missed it.
I said it's a woman, so it was a pack of lies because it was a woman.
Oh.
Yeah, Masinga, it is 11:28 a.m. here, and no, I'm not a really big coffee drinker. Never have been. Even
Really?
before I joined the church, yeah. Never been a big coffee drinker.
Oh, I have an interesting story about Diamond Dave. You guys want to hear an interesting story about Diamond Dave?
Uh-oh.
Diamond Dave,
Oh, yeah.
Diamond
That-
Dave and I Diamond Dave and I are friends. So is that fair to say there, Diamond Dave? We're friends.
Some days.
Oh,
Some
okay.
days.
Long distance, very long distance.
Diamond Dave is one of the few people who saw me during my 48-hour stint in the Ward Radio Discord that I talked about on Beth Magnetic's show yesterday with the famous message. I believe I sent that to you, didn't I, Gene? The don't post genocidal threats in the Ward Radio Discord. That post.
Yeah, I didn't know the context of that.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. So I was curious. I thought. Oh, sorry. Sorry. I do that. No, I was curious what goes on in Ward Radio's Discord. They would say I was snooping, but you tell me the difference. I mean, fair enough. Fair all around. And I didn't find a whole lot that I thought that was interesting on the topics I was looking for. But one that I did, I could show you the image if you want. There was a post, an at everyone post that basically asked people to stop posting genocidal comments about unaliving all the communists or all of the trans people. And I was just like, wow, what? Screenshot that. Thank you. Been taking that. I can show it to you if you want.
No,
I
I
didn't
didn't.
know you were. I didn't even know you were in the Discord for 48 hours. Like I saw when I hopped in, I saw people were asking what you were doing there, and I'm like, "What are you doing there?" And then you responded, and then Ahmad just booted you, and so I thought you'd been there a whole like 10 minutes.
Had I said anything really that controversial, Diamond Dave?
I didn't know you were in the Discord until I just saw a bunch of like missed notifications in all the channels. I'm like, yeah, I'll catch up and see what's going on. And oh, something's going on in the mod section. So I went to the mod section, and then that's when I saw it. I'm like, wait, what are you doing here? What's going on?
I really never made it out of the mod section. I was just in there. They were like, do you know there's somebody just joined whose name is Exmo Joe? And I took everything I had not to go Exmo Joe. I got a couple of screenshots. No, I didn't. Did I get? Yeah, I got a screenshot of Jacob Hansen's secret account making some comments in there. I took everything I had not to tag him and go Exmo Joe. Some of you are inside that inside joke. But anyway.
What is Jacob's secret name?
Justin?
Sneaks. The SNEAX.
What is it?
Oh, really? I was wondering who that was.
That's debatable. It's debatable whether it's Jacob or not.
What's his secret name?
Sneaks.
Sneaks. SNEAX.
Yeah, that's what is in the Discord. That's what is in the Discord.
But I think that is actually a different guy.
Is it?
Yeah. I think so. Colts and them are all over it. It made a good case that it is a different guy. But I thought it was Jacob too. Some random guy from Texas. But yeah, I think it is a different guy.
I was gonna say I don't think Sneaks is Jacob Hansen, because like on the one hand it kind of fits, but on the other hand, like he talks very differently, and he's got like 6 Sneaks accounts.
Maybe it is, but from what Colby and Colt said, it's not Jacob.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'm wrong then. I'm glad I didn't tag him.
I don't look that much, but
I had commented. Somebody had said something about you go to this guy's website, his Hellfire Agency or whatever, and it forwards to Korahor or something. And so I had to introduce myself because I'd been caught. So I said, "Yes, this is me. I'm Joe Rollins, alias Exmo Joe. I'm an atheist preacher and an ex-Mormon at the First Herald of the Church of Korahor. And yes, my website directs to korahor.org because it is a church podcast that I run, and got into like 2 exchanges with this guy, and then I was kicked out. But so it was that's how long I survived in Ward Radios. But I got in there long enough to see Diamond Dave. You have some very interesting takes, I thought, because you had posted in the politics section about some of your ideas. I thought they make for interesting conversation, at least. I mean, I don't know if you
Sure.
talk politics,
Sure.
but you had mentioned that you believe that adultery and alcohol should be criminalized. Is that-
yes, that is not trolling. Some of that is either cranky or, hungry, but yeah, that specifically, that specifically
Corey?
I do, but that specifically I do believe in, because just my political views are more based towards Indian politics and not U.S. politics. I don't really get involved in U.S. politics. If you actually follow me on Facebook and you see who I interact with, there's a lot of similar mentalities, people of the BJP, the RSS. They'll throw that out there too.
Alex Jones.
Who?
Alex Jones.
The name sounds familiar, but I don't know what he's.
He's a nutbag.
I don't think Alex Jones has ever called for adultery to be criminalized. If he is, he's in trouble. That
would
That's true.
That would not fly in America. That is for sure.
It used to be illegal here in Utah. Adultery was illegal, and then they decriminalized it. And me and a bunch of other polyam people were really disappointed. Like, I had a partner say, "I'm actually kind of disappointed because it was a lot more fun when we were breaking the law."
Yeah. Well, I mean, part of the reason, especially for alcohol being criminalized, is in India there are some states like Gujarat where alcohol is illegal already. And so, from my perspective, it doesn't make sense to have it banned in some parts of India and then legalized in other parts, especially given the socially conservative climate. It's more practical to have an all or nothing approach, right?
Well, America
So
is banned.
Yeah.
It's banned in certain parts of America.
Wait, did
Can
you
you,
say
like, get
alcohol
arrested?
is illegal?
Yeah,
Yep,
there are
alcohol's
dry
so-
counties in America.
Yeah. Jack
Yeah,
Daniels.
Wow.
Jack Daniels is made in a dry county.
Oh, really?
Oh, is it
Okay.
really?
Yeah,
That makes
yeah,
sense.
you can't buy alcohol where Jack Daniels is made.
Yeah, definitely. So from and since that's on a much bigger state level, to me it just makes more sense to make it illegal across the board. There's also a big push for that too. And then when it comes to adultery, the Hindu Marriage Act of 1955 actually makes alimony terrible, because not only if a man divorces a woman, or if there's a divorce, the man has to pay alimony, right? But according to the Hindu Marriage Act of 1955, a woman can be divorced to multiple men and get alimony from all of them, even though they're still married. So either you rescind the act or you make adultery illegal.
So I guess prostitution is off the table, huh?
Well, here's a weird thing about India. So prostitution is legalized in India. However, it's very, very, very much frowned upon. It's very much frowned upon. So there's a huge push for it to be made illegal, but because India is so big, they don't have the manpower to enforce it.
Huh.
You're saying that country with 1 billion people does not have the manpower to enforce something?
Correct, because of the way the laws are structured, because a lot of them are based on British colonial laws. Now, had they gone back to more traditional Indian laws, then they could do it, because their approach is a bit more direct and, from a Western perspective, it's much more harsh.
Well, I'd say they have the manpower, they just don't have the will to do it.
Or the jail space.
It depends on the state as well, because the South is fundamentally structured differently than the North, and the North has its own problems, especially Bihar. So,
You're saying the South is crazy? It's very foreign to me. As an American, the South is very cool.
No, I said it was structured differently.
No, I make a joke that the South is always different than the North.
I just want to make sure
Confederacy joke. Confederacy.
Yes.
So
Think
Dave,
offensive. That's what I'm doing.
Dave, are you saying that In India, alcohol is illegal.
In
No.
some states, not all.
So, wow.
Like Gujarat, I know is
Illegal.
banned. Yep, illegal, outright illegal. You can be arrested for
Illegal.
it. Bihar, I believe it's also in Bihar, but I'd have to double check.
I didn't know that there were places where alcohol is illegal.
Oh, there's several countries in the world where it's illegal, like outside of the Middle East, obviously. A lot of that has to do with culture. And in India, especially given the partition and British colonization, drinking was seen as a British pastime. It's not an Indian thing. And alcohol also leads to alcoholism. And having been an alcoholic and having been addicted to drugs, I tend to take a more harsher view on that than maybe some other people would, just because of past experience.
How dare you?
I can't
Free
read
spirit.
that. Free spirit. Yeah.
That's your
I'm
hippie
telling you-
sticker.
Alcohol is bringing you all the gold I brought today. I'll tell you that.
No.
Without alcohol, you would not have heard this wisdom.
Hey friends, I don't have a good way to do this, but I gotta bail on you. But it's good to see you, and I'll
Peace,
hope to
Joe.
see you all
Take care.
soon.
Be good,
Hopefully
Joe.
now-
Well, we should wrap up the show. We'll still talk in the after show if people want to join the after show.
You're all
And I'll say
invited.
Goodbye. If anybody else has any 3 questions for God, you can leave them in the comments after the show's over. And it's basically we're just thinking like, why? That's what
Why?
Tim Rathbone.
Join the after show. I can answer some
why?
of the questions. Yeah. If you guys
Well,
want to join the after show.
circle. We'll
That's
have a
right,
prayer
we'll have a
circle
prayer show.
afterwards.
You know,
And
that's
I
when
always
we
thought
can
it was
ask.
interesting. Why do we say, "Oh God, hear the words of my mouth"? But if we were doing it silently, what would we say in our mind? "Oh God, hear the words of my mind." I
Mind.
don't know, just a thought.
That's a good thought.
There you
It's a
go.
good thought.
Because I mean, you're talking already. It's like I hate it when somebody says, "Hey, do you mind if I ask a question?" You just ask a question without even asking. Go ahead.
Well, that's like
Anyway.
when someone shows you a photograph and they say, "This is when I was younger." Well, no kidding. Every single photograph of somebody
None of them
is
could be
when
for
they were
you in the
younger,
future.
even if it was taken yesterday.
That's right. Here's a photograph of me 10 years from now, Randy.
Yeah.
Join join the after show, because I don't know if I have time to answer all the questions, but I can answer some of the questions if you guys want to hop in.
There you go.
We'll get uncensored in the after show.
And Diamond
Right
Dave
on.
will probably answer questions regarding what's going to happen tomorrow because he's in tomorrow now.
He's in tomorrow.
So
Yeah.
actually, we'll do a couple more questions, really. Shelley wants to know how many gods there are in India.
Depends on who you talk to, because there are some interpretations of
Give us a
Hinduism
range.
where there's one god with
69.
So anyway, there are some interpretations of Hinduism where there's one god with multiple incarnations, and then there are other interpretations and like lenses of Hinduism that have each god and goddess as its own separate deity. So depends on who you talk to. What do I think about Tulsi Gabbard? I love Tulsi Gabbard and I love Kash Patel. Tulsi Gabbard is actually tied to the RSS, which is a Hindu nationalist party. Not a lot of Americans know that.
Okay.
And actually, if you Google that online, you can actually see she like a picture of her. I forget what it is, but she's receiving like an award and accommodation from one of the stateside leaders of the RSS. So,
All right.
She lost my bet.
We'll end the show right now. Say thanks everybody for watching.
Thank
Have
you,
a great
everybody.
2025.
Thank you, Shelley.
Rest of the 2025. And I'm going to leave Shelley's donation up there as an example for anybody that wants to be inspired by that. I make about $3 a day doing this, but the expenses are like $10 a day because of all the money I'm
$10 a
paying
day.
Randy. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I'm
Right.
getting wealthy.
That's right. Getting.
Yep.
All right. Have a good day. Bye bye.
Bye, y'all.